What's going on, everybody? Welcome to, I think this is number 18, episode 18 of the Dirty Pool podcast. Today, I'm talking with somewhat of a famous pinball legend. It's the original creator of Pinball Expo. He is in the Guinness Book of World Records for having the most pinball machines, although I don't know if that still stand. Is that still a current record?
It's a current record, but the number has been increased.
Oh, look at that. Even more. Everybody, it's Rob Berk. Rob Berk runs Pinball Expo, and we're going to talk about that today. How are you doing, Rob?
Doing good. I rushed to get here, and thanks to the wonderful Jeff, he allowed me to get here a little late, but glad to be here, and then we can talk till midnight if you want.
Sweet. This is gonna be the first 7 to 10 hour long podcast. Strap in, everybody.
You think about it, Jeff. You'll be in the Guinness Book of Records for the longest podcast.
Yeah, that's true. I don't know if 7 hours is going to do that. We might be in for the long haul. We might have to do this for a couple of weeks. Someone will have to Google and look that up. I forgot to pull up my chat here. It's going to totally tank the whole thing. Pinball Expo 2025. We're looking at how many years running now? I believe the first one was 1985. Is that correct?
That's correct. So the reason I wanted to do Expo was, we had a little pinball club I went to. I'm in a town called Warren, Ohio, near Youngstown, but there was a pinball group out of Akron, Ohio, which I joined the group, and once a month we would meet at someone else's home, and normally these guys would have at least one machine in the collection, and we just talked pinball. But one of the meetings, I said, wouldn't it be cool to have a National Pinball Collectors Convention? And, there was some lukewarm response to it. But I took that initial thought and then, expanded it. But my whole dream initially was to recognize my heroes who were the pinball designers and artists. Because let's face it, Jeff, even for yourself, you play pinball, but wouldn't it be cool to meet the guy who built the game?
Absolutely.
Back then in the 80s, 70s and 80s, and the only names we ever got was through the books, and there's a half a dozen books out. Roger Sharp, and his book was out, and some others. But we didn't know these guys. Norm Clark, Steve Kordak. These are names I just never heard of before, but these are all the premier designers at the time. And I reached out to Alvin Gottlieb to start. And I actually I flew to his home in Chicago, and I said, I want to meet you about an idea I have. And he says, come on down. So Alvin Gottlieb, the owner of V. Gottlieb, I assume the guy lived in a mansion, with the lions on both sides of the entrance and the whole big deal.
I mean, every building should have 2 lions on either side of it to get into it.
A very simple, modest home. So we came in and I told him my dream, and he said, you know what? You got so much passion. How can I say no? I'll do it. And when I asked him to do it, he'd be my guest speaker for the banquet. So slow but sure, I put the whole idea together. And at the time I used a guy by the name of Bill Kurtz. He was involved with Expo, with pinball. At the time, he was more of an author. He wrote a book along with some other people on pinball, and he did a couple of arcade books as well. And about 6 months into planning, I hooked up with Mike Pasak, who at the time worked for Fun and Games, an arcade chain in our area. And he headed up the vendors area. So we had a team of 3, and we pulled it off. And I remember at the banquet, Alvin spoke the history of V. Gottlieb. And that seminar his talk lasted 3 hours. I mean, it was unbelievable.
That's a long time.
Squirming around in their seats, oh my gosh, when's that guy stop? But it was very informative. But to me, the best part was honoring the designers. And at the time, I had 4 guys come up front. Harvey Heiss, who designed for Genko. He was still living in his 80s at the time. Steve Kordak was Williams, Norm Clark with Bally, and Wayne Nines with the Gottlieb. And they stood, and I said, ladies and gentlemen, these 4 guys are responsible for designing over 600 machines.
Sure.
Well, needless to say, everyone stood and applauded. And what was special for me is several of the guys had tears in their eyes. I mean, they've never been recognized. When you work for a corporation, all the big shots get all the accolades, and the workers are just their employees. But I made sure that these employees got the accolades they deserve. And it went over quite well, and I was quite pleased. So
I
After
hear you.
that,
This is like the same reason that I wanted to do the podcast, is to try to give a face to people that are just underappreciated or maybe not even known. Pinball in general has like kind of a facade of mystery behind it, right? You know, these machines are complex and it's huge teams to make them, but you know, they come out and it's more about the game than the people, which is fine. But you know, kudos to you for creating even a platform for people to even be available to see this, especially back then. Without the internet, how do you even let people know that a Pinball Expo is a thing? You know?
great question. So at the time, there was a guy named Steve Young. Steve Young. He's got the silver ball. What's he called? Silver ball.
Museum?
Silver parts. But he had a publication called Pinball Collectors Quarterly, and that was the only way of reaching out to the masses. So we advertised in there, we're going to have a pinball show. And the first year in 1985, we hit about 100 people that came to the show.
Wow, that's impressive.
Well, at the time, I guess that was big. And the full admission package, just to give you an idea, was $25. But we recognized everybody. The show went up well. And as far as I was concerned, it was a one and done. And then about 6 months into the next year, I started getting phone calls. Went to the next show. I said, well, there is no next show. We're done. They, oh no, this was too much fun. You got to do one more. So I did one more, and we had a toast and recognized Steve Kordak. So we had all the people from the industry recognize him and give their accolades and stories about him. So then I was officially done. And no, you're not. So here we are, 41. It's just amazing. But the show keeps growing in personality and different things we do. But think about this, Jeff. There's so many shows out today. Well, we were the first. So, I'm proud to say that the idea came from me, and, it's still going. Just the fact that the same promoter has been with the same show. Texas, they've been around for quite a while, but, they're having their second promoter that's running that show now. But
sure. Talking about TPF for people who aren't aware of this. Yeah.
Yeah. The same guy doing the same show for 41 years. It's pretty nuts. But, sometimes I think to myself, I wonder if I would ever sell the show. But the thing is, what stops me is no one would have the passion that I do to do the show.
If you sold the show, do you think the show's feelings would be hurt? Like, I feel like Pinball Expo itself has its own idea. It's got its soul, right? The show itself is a living entity now.
Yeah, it is. But, it's the passion is what makes the show. I go overboard in many aspects to make it good for the attendees. It's all about the attendees.
So 40 years ago, there were no vendors, right? And we were talking about, this was mostly just a talking heads of opportunity to meet designers and to, like you said, to give some faces to the community of pinball that didn't exist then, right? When did the show start to incorporate kind of like people that were makers in the industry?
Yeah, show one, we had seminars. Show one, we had vendors. And because I knew Alvin Gottlieb, by speaking to him, he got Gottlieb to come. Because I knew Norm Clark, he got Ballard to come, Kordak got Williams. So then I went down the game plan and said, hey man, these three guys are coming. Well, I guess we're going to come too. But I was a complete stranger. I was a nobody in the industry. No one knew me. I was a complete outsider, just an enthusiast. So it was so crazy back then, but we had all these major manufacturers showing their latest game. And then we had the average guy selling used equipment next to him. So it was a crazy mishmash of everything you could think of. But people had a good time. It was at the Holiday Inn in Rosemont, and it worked out quite well. We were pleased.
And now, but let's talk venue size. I mean, how many square footage of the current Pinball Expo looks absolutely enormous in terms of floor space.
Question. So the first show had maybe 10,000 square feet, and then we moved 4 different times. Maybe this is the 5th time we moved. But most recently, the last hotel, we had about 25,000 square feet. So then when I came to this new venue, I started thinking in a big way. And right now, we are in 100,000 square feet.
That's impressive.
Yeah,
10,000 is nothing to slouch at for a first show, but my Lord, it just shows how far the expo has grown in the last 40 years.
40 years ago, but yeah.
So is this an actual 4-0? Was there a year skipped, or are we looking at the 40th kind of Pinball Expo anniversary?
Well, this is our 41st year, but we kept the show going even through COVID. So it was all video, of course, and all from the basement of my home. But we had seminars going on. I had people linked in through the internet, and we never stopped. We never stopped. We kept having the show, even though it wasn't live for that 1 year. But
it just shows how much people that love pinball were willing to kind of just like push through even times like, COVID, where things were not exactly ideal for mass gatherings of people on any circumstance.
Yep. Don't you dare get together.
Yeah, right?
Yep. But we did it, and we're still doing it, and we're having a good time. It's to me the most satisfaction is just having people smile and say, "Hey, man, thanks, great show." And to me, what also Jeff is just bringing in the international people. I don't know any shows that bring in the international people to the extent that we do.
So we got a few people that are shouting out directly to you saying thanks so much. They're really looking forward to coming to Expo this year. And it's funny. The reason I mention that is some of them are streamers, some of them are arcades themselves, and some of them are just individuals. And kind of one of the questions I have for you is there's so many different types of individuals that are involved in Pinball Expo. How do you make sure that there's something for everybody, whether it be tournament players, collectors, people that just want to come and like roam around the floor, vendors themselves? I mean, you have to kind of touch base on so many different aspects of, the Expo experience. How do you make sure that it's good for everyone?
Yeah, that's a good question because, for a while there, I was using the tagline, Pinball Expo, the everything for everyone show. Because I've always tried to emphasize, I don't care what level of interest you are, there'll be something there for you.
I'm going to pull up the website here while you're talking. I just want people to see, one, you should win an award for the longest scrolling single page in history of website manufacturing. But part of the reason I want to scroll down is you have so many different categories of things. Like it seems like such a filled event. So I'm sorry for cutting you off, but I just want to scroll through this while you talk.
What makes me exciting about the Expo is that there's so much happening. Sometimes people will call me up and say, "Yeah, I'm going to come down Friday only. I can't get off work." I said, "Man, do me a favor. Call up your office. Tell me you got COVID. You'll have COVID that weekend. You've got to come the whole time because there's just so much to see. You can't see it all in one day. You can't see it all in 2 days. You really need all 3 days to see everything." And we fill it up. But, when people get there, there's a love in the air because there's so much positive energy. People high-fiving and hugging and say, "Hey, Jeff, you're the guy with Dirty Pool. I've been wanting to meet you, man. I love that one podcast you did." And then you'll say, "Hey, who are you?" "I'm Bubba." "Oh, my gosh, it's nice to meet you, man." So, it's an opportunity for everybody to get together and high-five and hey, let's have lunch together. The thing is with the guys, the international guys, oftentimes people will meet them and say, "Hey, man, you guys are pretty cool." And then next thing you know, they're eating lunch together or dinner together, and they made new friends. So, pinball is a universal love, and universal language among everybody. And,
for sure. You don't have to speak the same language to play a game of pinball with each other. It can still be a friendship-making or friendship-breaking experience.
We got guys coming from Germany. We have a vendor from France. We got a guy from Hungary. It's crazy, but
and it's crazy how international a lot of the pinball makers are. I mean, I'm thinking like, the Pinstyle guys are from France. I forget where HOV Pinball is, the one that makes the LVDS HDMI kind of breakout for Stern. But just in general, like there is no, even though Americans do consume the most pinball, and I think that's a lot to do with some of the shipping kind of disasters that are currently going on with tariffs and whatnot. But pinball is international. And we have people from Australia, all over. In fact, I can see Amiga Cami is currently in chat. She's from Tasmania, of all places. And this shows, man, Tasmania loves pinball too.
Yeah, the one from Tasmania. She's the one coming from Expo. Is she coming to Expo?
I don't know. Cami, are you coming to Expo this year? There'll be a little delay. We'll get back to that one. So while Cami is answering that question, this is a good one. Have there been any near disaster moments that have almost prevented Expo from happening? I know you mentioned COVID, but just has there been such a logistical
COVID was the only thing that stopped us from moving forward.
I mean, that's pretty
We
good. A global pandemic is pretty much the biggest monkey wrench you could possibly have.
I still would have done it, but Chicago, when these things happened, Chicago was a major lockdown, and they wouldn't see to it. But yep, nothing stopped the show. The show must go on.
Yeah, this is true. Indie Arcade Wave is asking, he says he hopes the homebrew community is bringing tons of games. How do you make sure or interface with the homebrew community to make sure that they represent? Because I know like T-Petch is local to Chicago, and I know he's brought his games there a few times. And among other people, you actually mentioned someone individually that had a game that was really interesting. If you wanted to plug them now as well. But just how do you connect with these homebrew people?
Well, the answer to his first question, the last count, last year we had 40. The last count were over 50 this year. So for you home brewers or people that love the home brewers, get ready to go crazy. And I'm trying to think where I should start. As far as how we got the people there, Aaron Davis with Fast Pinball has done a very good job of promoting Expo and promoting the homebrew out there in the West Coast and getting people to use their system to come to Expo. So he's a big advocate. Jake Danzig does a very good job of promoting it. And Amoto Harning from Marco. So what's Marco doing this year is I've asked them to lose their mind. And I've been trying this for 3 years of asking them to lose their mind. Finally, they lost their mind. They are getting a booth 70 foot by 80 foot.
That's a big booth. That's a huge.
And what I've asked Marco to do, and they finally agreed to do it, is they are going to have a pinball parts supermarket. And what that's going to be is they're going to go through the shelves and some of the boxes on the ground and discontinued products and so forth, and they're going to have them there at the show sold at a discount. So if you want to bargain or you want to have a good time just rummaging through the boxes of goodies, this is going to be the year. Marco, I thank you. Marco Ramirez and the people from Marco, thank you for doing it because I'm excited about that. But what Emoto has asked is that we do the homebrew as part of this whole Marco package. So, guys, you're going to probably spend a quarter of the day just in that one area because so much happening.
Right. And a shout out to Emoto. She does so much to be the face of Marco and to just help promote kind of like pinball. I mean, if you need parts and you have stuff that's going on, I mean, she worked with Kyle back in the day when they were doing the Marco live broadcast as well. I mean, just an absolute legend in the kind of repair and parts thing. Pat has a question here. Pat's Arcade has a question, and I see there's this part of your website that says zero tolerance policy, talking about Pinball Expo, being a safe and family fun place. Right. Pat's asking if there's going to be more security this year because a popular podcaster is threatening to fight someone, apparently, who's potentially bringing a homebrew pin.
Yeah,
so
we hear these rumblings as well, and we let the right people know. So if anything happens, things will get squelched very quickly. So you tell that young man to come see me, and if I have to, I'll be his private bodyguard the whole weekend.
There you go. I mean, what more of an answer do you want? They're trying to make sure that this is going to be a safe place. Don't fight people at Pinball Expo. That's a stupid thing to do.
That's the last thing I want as well. So, we want it to be family friendly. And people that come there, 98% of the time, leave with a good feeling and say, boy, this is a great event. Like you've heard, Jeff, you've heard from your friends.
Pinball is about, we need to grow the pinball community, and it means to send a positive message. People don't want to be going someplace to fight. That doesn't sound very pinball spirit. You know what I mean?
Yep, I hear you.
Thank you, Gek, saying keep growing pinball. I'm trying. That's why we're talking to Rob here. By the way, if you're just tuning in, this is Rob Berk. Rob Berk is the original creator of Pinball Expo, Guinness Book of World Records. You said that you had a new updated number. Blow my mind. What is the number of pinball machines that you currently have?
Well, the last number was 1040. So we're closer to 1150 now. And
that's a lot of pins.
Yeah, but what's scary is I made a trip overseas 3 months ago, and I went to meet Gunther, who's with the Austria Pinball Museum they have in that part of the world, and he made the mistake of taking me back to his warehouse. So,
nice.
Not probably bringing back another 100 games. So,
Well, that number, you're making sure no one's anywhere near your your Guinness Book of World Records limit. Yoda wants to ask, are pins available for sale? I'm sorry, what?
I'm collecting the 30s games now. Who would guess it? So, Cliff's one of our guys that comes to the show. Cliff is the 1930s guru at Pinball Expo. He's the first guy that came to Expo with one single 1930s game. And I said, well, this thing is kind of cool, kind of fun. I said, why don't you come back again? So he missed a year, and then I think it was 2 or 3 years ago, I said, let's do a big spread for the 30s. So he did like a speakeasy kind of look with a 1930s lampshade and a 1930s bar scene and a couch there and carpeting, and kind of walk into the time of the 1930s. And he had about 20 or 30 1930 games there. And we actually had a 1930s tournament. And there's talk, Jeff, that you're going to enter it this year. So a lot of people, there's a buzz about that.
Rob, you know, I'm not a tournament player. I'm a talker. I'm a person just to meet and greet the pinball people, not to try to beat them. There's far better players.
Can you imagine having your mic there? What are you doing here right now? What's your name? Billy Bob. Billy Bob, what are you doing? Well, I'm playing this 1930s game.
I'll be there with my camera. Don't you worry. I'm bringing the whole rig.
What's crazy is the more you're around them, the more you appreciate them, as simplistic as they are. But I mean, this is where the whole industry started with these 30s games. No flippers, no electric, very basic games. But in the mid 30s, they really started developing bumpers and some other things that made the games a little more exciting. But to see the evolution of these games, and in fact, we have an arcade back in my hometown called Pastimes that has a lot of my collection in there. And we're going to have a booth this year, called Pastimes booth. But in that booth, we're going to have games from the 30s, the 40s, the 50s, the 60s. So you see the evolution of the games. And
that history is important because arcades are just stocking, modern Sterns now. I frequently say that it's the arcade's responsibility to have some kind of glimpse of different generational games. And if you haven't played a wood rail, if you haven't played a game without flippers, you should absolutely give it a try because there are so many games that are just amazingly fun, even without flippers. And plus you get to experience a little bit of pinball history. What's not to like?
Yeah. The one thing we find at Pastimes is, have you seen Pastimes? Do you know about it, Jeff?
I haven't, no.
If you could Google it while we're talking, if you could Google pastimespluralarcade.com, but that has a big part of my collection. We've got 600 games in there. So it's really a very large arcade. But,
while I'm pulling this up, you had mentioned one thing that people put together kind of themed environments for the actual Pinball Expo. Tell me, what's the craziest just balls out wild themed booth that someone's put together over the years where you were just like, wow, you guys really went ham?
Yeah, that's a good question.
I've got the Pastimes pulled up too for people that are curious.
Well, the electric playground is going to get a little goofy this year. I know that.
Yeah, he's going to have a big ass sofa. I talked to Rob about that. Old Rob Rath. I guess you Robs like to stick together, huh?
Yeah, something like that. That's a good question. I had to really think about that one. One thing that really blows my mind is the size of the booth that Stern gets. I mean, for the 40th, they got I think it was 80 feet by 80 feet. I mean, how large can it get? It's massive.
That's big. But, that is a big booth.
I'm a big supporter of it, and that's pretty nuts. And Jersey Jack does an awful lot for us, too. So, we're lucky to have these Chicago-based companies.
Yeah, I was going to say they're local. I mean, it's almost like a cheat code to have your, giant pinball expo in the backyard. Pretty easy to ship games over there.
Yep. It's really crazy. And there's a guy by the name of, he goes by the name of Nitro Pinball. I'm not sure if you know him in your neck of the woods. He's bringing some games. He is a distributor for the games called Home Pin. You ever hear of Home Pin out of Taiwan?
Oh, I'm familiar with Home Pin.
Okay. So he represents them. He represents Bigtronic. Bigtronic is out in Spain. But he decided to get a booth this year, and he's going to bring some games from both those manufacturers to the show. So we are going to have a massive representation of pinball, not only from the domestic guys, but also a lot of these guys, you just never see the games. I mean, home pin, you never see this stuff.
No, I bet there's going to be lines around the whole building to go play some home pin games for sure. But it is amazing that you help represent these companies.
Yeah, I think it's called Blues Brothers is the name of the home pin game he did. So he'll have that game on display. But, you know, Jeff, we talked before we got on the air, but the one home pin game I'm kind of looking forward to, and some other people here, is there's a guy from France. Tadeg is his name, Tadeg. Tadeg made a game called The Invaders, and that guy is shipping his game to Expo to join the homebrew selection. It's crazy.
That's awesome. That's awesome. God, I hope that game survives the ship.
A homebrew, yeah.
I mean,
that's pretty wild.
Yeah, I mean, it's just part of a risk of it, especially with a home pin. I mean, that's, you know, like a homebrew system. It's not like you have other ones that you could pull parts from for the most part, unless you happen to have built two. So, but that's certainly.
By the way, Uncle Jeff, hopefully don't mind if I call you Uncle Jeff.
Uncle Jeff? No, I didn't realize we're family now, Rob.
Mr. Friends now. If you look at that homepage for me, at Expo homepage, and scroll down to there's a guitar company coming to our show. If you could find that for me on the homepage.
Sure.
It's a green.
What color is their logo? I'm at the giant vendor list at the bottom currently.
No, start from the very top. Start from the very top.
Oh, it's at the very top. All right.
And scroll down, and then we have a little blurb. It's like a
bumper blast. Here we go. Here we go. Cathara guitars. They're more than just guitars.
These guys are out of Canada. How I found them, I don't know. These guys make guitars out of used pinball playfields.
That's awesome. That's so cool.
And I mean, they've sold one of the guitars to Ed Robertson from Bare Legged Ladies. And these guys,
I hear they're huge fans of pinball, in fact, which is that's pretty funny.
You got to make sure you see their booth. That is insane. But you know, I look for these guys all the time. We have a lot of guys in Europe, and a lot of guys I find on Facebook, and people reach out to me. But this is going to be a fabulous show, guys. And you know, there's some people out there that still don't know if they should come. But fans, you got to try it one time to see it. You won't believe it. There's so much positive energy and so much stuff that you don't see at the other shows. So, that's specifically one of my questions. So let me touch base on that. So I have here, I'm like, what do you think makes Expo different than these other shows? I mean, you just said that it's, you do the research to bring in some like really interesting, unique kind of contributors. You know, do you think that that's what makes Pinball Expo special? Well, it's a start of it, but also the seminars. No one does the breadth of seminars we do. I mean, we were the first ones to do the seminars. We still do them, but we have over 100 speakers, and that doesn't include you. If we get you on the airways next year, but 100 speakers.
Nobody wants to hear me talk.
Oh, yes, you got that good voice, but I mean, it's crazy the number of people we have. So that's pretty cool. Now, for me, I'm very excited about one particular speaker, Joe Kamikow. Jeff, have you ever heard that name?
No. The only Joe I know is Pinball Degenerates, and that guy's a huge jerk. I'm just kidding. Okay. I love Joe.
Joe Kamikow was the guy that collaborated with Gary Stern to start Data East.
Okay. Yeah. So this is the Data East period.
So he will be with Joe, Gary, and they'll be giving a seminar on the early years. This is like Back to the Future and all those early games they made at Data East.
Sure.
But Joe Kamikow is famous for something else. He started a company called Kapow.
Okay.
Kapow built a game that no one thought would ever be built, the Beatles. According to Joe, he spent $1 million out of his own pocket to produce this game. So anyone that's coming to Expo that wants to really learn about Joe Kamikow, he is a great guy, and he's giving a seminar with Gary Stern. You want to see this guy. He is very, very...
Take note, if you're coming to Pinball Expo, go to that panel. How do you schedule these? And is there a place that people can easily see where and when these panels are going on so they don't miss something that they're interested in it?
Yeah, great question. So we have a schedule of events on the website, Plus, we'll have that blown up and we'll have several signage throughout the show, somewhere to go. But
are there people on the floor that help guide around if you're, completely lost? Like, are there Pinball Expo representatives of the people that you can go speak to?
Yeah.
How would someone find someone like this?
It'll say staff. But there's a couple of speakers I'm very excited to hear about. But my question to you, Jeff, is who was the gentleman that designed Addams Family?
It's a Pat Lawler game, isn't it?
That is correct. So far you're batting 1,000. Pat Lawler designed an awful lot of games and a lot of great games. Like anyone else in the industry, the guy is, we're all getting older, including me. Pat Lawler said last year that was his last year. And I reached out to him and I said, Pat, please give me one more year. There's new guys coming to Expo every year. They want to know about you. He will be coming one final
time. So amazing.
Anyone that's listening to this podcast, I highly recommend, whether you're into Rudy or Twilight Zone.
Yeah, I was about to say, or his last game, Toy Story, which was, his egress from Jersey Jack.
But Pat Lawler is a great designer, and he will be giving a final seminar. Typically, for those that go to the seminar room, typically his seminars are always packed. So anyone that wants to meet him for one final time, get a picture with him, get his autograph, this could be the last, last opportunity.
So for a popular seminar like that, is there if the seating is full, can people stand in the back? Like are you kind of SOL if you miss it?
And Jeff, because you're there, since you're part of the media and the press, you can kind of walk up front and sit down on the floor and watch it. But
I do like sitting on the floor.
Another guy that's coming who's a very, very great designer is Steve Ritchie. So anyone that knows about his games, he will be there. So his seminars are always packed. So these are two of the greatest designers we've seen in the pinball world in modern history. They're both coming to Expo, which is fantastic. Joe Kamikow, who has done a tremendous amount for the IEs and the industry, will be at Expo. So these are some very powerful figureheads. And guys, these guys are not going to be around forever.
You weren't kidding when you said that this is going to be a banger of a show.
Yeah.
All-star lineup.
And all I asked, and someone come up to me and said, you know what? I'm so glad I came. I listened to that Dirty Pool podcast. I wasn't going to come, but after hearing you talking me into it. And I am so glad I came. I love you, man, is what they're going to say.
Everybody watching my channel is already going to Pinball Expo if they were going anyways, but I appreciate that. Pat Arcade wants to know, are the seminars recorded or archived?
We have Martin Ayu. He's with the Pinball News out of England, and he's there YouTubing every seminar. So every seminar that is there, it'll be recorded and will be on YouTube. But
there you go, Pat. The answer is a resounding yes.
Last year, as a side note, we went so goofy last year. I lost my mind last year because of the portfolio. We had so many seminars, we had to split them up in two separate rooms. The first time in the history of Expo. And we did it, but people were mad and said, man, I wanted to go to that seminar, but it conflicted with the other one. So we won't do that again, but the floors was
nice to have a second room and just in case, right? So for the game, give me an idea of what the floor is like at Pinball Expo. I'm assuming that a lot of the games that are there may be from your personal collection, or is there a section for just free play? Like if someone is not a pinball person and they're just coming in off the street, what are they seeing immediately when they come onto the floor?
Well, a couple of things. The pinball scientist has come, Tanner Walters out of Minnesota. He's a school teacher, but he's going to do a workshop on how to build a pinball machine. Again, this is with cardboard and stuff, but he's doing it for the kids. So for anyone that wants to bring their kids to the show, this is an attraction for the kids. Plus, you can do a kids tournament there for pinball, so that's going to be fun. But to answer your question, when they walk in there, they're going to be blown away by the number of vendors. And every manufacturer you can dream of will be there. Every supplier you can dream of will be there. We got one guy, Jeff Moorhead, that's coming in from Pennsylvania. And he is the the used parts guru. He's got so much parts and stuff that it'll blow your mind. Plus all the pin stick, we talked about him. And the guitar guy. I mean, there's just so much. It's almost like you don't know where to start. You don't know where to look first.
I was in Chicago last week. I met a gentleman who makes resin casted plastic ramps for games that no longer, if you don't know, many ramps for older games were made of plastic, and without the actual molds that were used for those, they're very difficult to replace. The wire four ones are obviously much easier, but this guy's business was just making new plastic resin casts for games so that people could get new plastic ramps for specific games, which is, I think that's just awesome. Like, it just shows the dedication to a lot of people have to restoring and like kind of keeping the older games in prime condition, right?
Well, that's one thing that's never ending is the hobby, or the people that are getting involved in the industry are keeping the hobby alive by making ramps again, or offering this or offering that. Steve Young is a big part of the hobby surviving for so many years because Pinball Resources is his company, and they have every part from A to Z. Plus, if you ever call that guy up, he'll answer any question you got. Why is my coil sticking? Why is this? Why is that? The guy is amazing. But Steve Engel will be there from Mayfair. He's the guy that sells the pinball back glasses.
There you go.
He'll have a 60-foot booth just with back glasses and also pinball parts. So if you want to buy parts, you want to buy games. We have one guy coming from Europe. His first time, he goes by Europin. He's got about 15 or 20 games he brought on the container. And these are all games made with for the overseas market. But he's bringing them to Expo. So that should also be a really exciting thing for people just to see these games.
Yeah, for sure. An opportunity to see some really rare stuff. I remember at California Extreme, they had a whole Capcom lineup where they had Big Bang Bar and oh God, what's the other one? Kingpin. So it's neat to see some of these kind of like rarer prototype games that just make it out. It's funny you mentioned Europe as well. Tommy Cyberroy is here. Tommy Cyberroy has an IFPA number of 5. He is. Oh my God. That is how OG he is. But I want
to see him at Expo. Is he coming to Expo?
I think so. He says he can't wait for almost a 10-hour flight. He says there's a lot of Dutchies there. I used to have a very respectable nickname, Klootzak, which if you're Dutch, maybe you know what that means. But Tommy says he's going to buy some parts. So it's a good thing. It's a good thing you've got this shopping mall, the Marco Shopping Center, right?
Yeah, it's going to be nuts. Guys, it's hard to say what you want to see first, but there's so much to see that you'll need every hour of every minute. Plus, if you want to visit the seminars, that takes time. Plus, if you're going to go on the Stern tour, that takes time. And then, Wednesday night, Jeff, we have something in Terry, and we call it the Bumper Blast. But what we do is it's kind of like the welcoming party for everybody that comes to Expo. So there's so much food there you could blow up. But I always
for those who don't know, Antarium is a local arcade along with Logan. I'm going to mention Logan as well. There's some things outside of the expo that you probably shouldn't miss too. If you had to tell someone kind of like the top 2 or 3 things to do around expo, let's exclude factory tours. I think that's kind of like a no-brainer if you're curious to see how pinball machines are manufactured. Stern definitely does, and I think is JJP offering factory tours as well? Do you know?
Not this year. Yeah, not this year.
There.
But what was I going to tell you guys?
Things outside of Expo. Yeah, Antarium for sure. And then I think, Pinball Olympics should probably be mentioned, right?
Yeah. Antarium is like a family entertainment center is what I'd call it. So with part of the entrance to Antarium, you get to play all the games for free. So, it's pinball machines there, redemption games. They got a bowling alley there. So it's all part of the fun of the evening. So, guys, make sure you get plenty of sleep before you come because you will not get sleep at Expo.
And the only thing better than playing pinball is playing pinball for free, right? I would say.
There you go. Yep. Plus, you know what? Stern is donating a John Wick's game as a raffle prize. And Jersey Jack is going to donate a game there for a raffle prize. So there's opportunities to spend a few bucks on a raffle ticket and you win a brand new game. So that's pretty cool too.
Yeah. And then you can pack it in your luggage and send it on home on the airplane with you, right?
Just don't give it to Jeff because you may not see it again.
That's true. I will steal your games for sure. We'll drive them back. So does some of your personal collection go into Pinball Expo?
Yeah, so it's a great question. So, when I went to Europe several years ago, we had a vacation in Spain, and around the same time, a guy by the name of Oscar reached out to us by email and said, "Hey, I'm coming to Expo, and I'm from Spain." That's odd. We're coming to Spain next month. We'd like to meet you. I never met the guy in my life. Well, when I went to see him, good guy, but he took me around to some of the collectors in Spain, and they had all these games I've never seen in my life. So what happened was there was a time period there where Spain and Italy could not import games from the U.S., so they created their own cottage industry of games. And there are games that you'll see at Expo that were made in Spain, and it's because Oscar showed me these guys out there that turned me even more goofy about buying more and more games. And a lot of games that I bought, in fact, in the container coming in shortly is from Europe. But a lot of those games will be on display at Expo. And these are games you never, ever see in America. So that's really cool, too, to see these games. There's just so much, guys.
Don't skip on the Zaccarias, too, like the Italian pins. I mean, there's... Is that the official way to pronounce it? We've had a lot of, debate here. Is it Zachariah or is it Zaccaria?
Well, let's put it this way. I met the Zachariah, one of the brothers still living, so... Zachariah...
Okay. The debate can be settled. It's done.
Yeah, I met him. So,
do you have a crown jewel in your collection?
I've always liked either Theater of Magic or Medieval Madness. To me, are my favorite games. And,
all right. A Papa Duke and an Eddie, huh?
Yeah, but when you go to the International Pinball database, they have that listed in the top 10 EM games and top 10 solid state. But year after year, month after month, it's almost always those Williams games and Valley games from the 90s.
Oh, for sure. Super Pin era, that 92 to 96 is just bangers galore. Shadow, yeah. Twilight Zone, Adams. I mean, good stuff.
Great games. So you wonder yourself, what is it about those games that to this day, they are the top collectible games over the new games that come out?
Are you asking me?
Yeah, I'm asking you.
I mean, I think that they didn't crutch on technology to try to make it fun. It's pinball in its purest form, right? They're still maximizing the entertainment value without having to crutch on gimmicks. Not that pinball machines nowadays aren't also, true to form in that way. But I don't know. There's definitely people refer to the early 90s as really a kind of golden age of pinball. And
you're right.
It's the designers were in their kind of creative, I don't know, golden age, for lack of a better term. And it really shows.
By the way, anyone that's coming to Expo, my wife works at the registration, and she's there 24/7. I don't know how she does it. But she likes chocolate candy. So anyone, good guy, if you bring some chocolate candy to her, a box of candy, she'd be very pleased. All
right, there you go. If you need to butter up, if you need to get something out of Pinball Expo, you can bribe with chocolate.
Yeah, including the guy from England, bring some chocolate from England. That one person, Tanzania, whatever, bring something from that part of the world.
Tasmania. Yeah.
Tasmania.
You hear that, Cammie? Bring chocolate.
Is she coming to Expo? Did we know yet?
She did not respond. I think she hit and ran. It's late over there. It's what, 11, 12-hour time difference? She was probably in bed. I appreciate her hopping on. Dr. Doobie says that the rules are approachable and the games all have great fun themes, is why the 90s golden age is kicking so strong. It's true. Yeah. And they weren't based on IPs, too. There's a lot of IP kind of attachment these days.
Yeah, good point.
So for Pinball Expo, do you have a favorite Expo memory? 40 years.
Yeah, a couple.
What do we got?
One, when Nolan Bushnell came, that was special for me when Nolan came. And also for me, because I've been around so long, I've met a lot of the guys that are no longer around, but just knowing and meeting Dave Christensen, who did a lot of the great backlashes for Valley, knowing him is great. Like I
Him
mentioned,
and Ferris are probably two of the most kind of revered, I don't know, 70s and 80s kind of backlash designers.
early years, these guys came to every expo. To know, and I appreciate Joe Camicow, which anyone that comes this year and comes to one of those seminars, they're going to say, hey, Rob was right. Camicow is a winner. He is good. But to meet Tom Neiman. So Tom Neiman worked for Bally, but he was the creative genius, did all the marketing for Bally. And he's the one that brought all these superstars to the fold and created pinball machines about them. Dolly Parton and the Stones and those early Bally games. It was one license after the other.
Sure.
But
yes.
Tom Neiman was the guy that started all this stuff. So he's a great guy himself. Hopefully he'll be an expo this year.
You bring up such a good point. Like there's so many different like avenues, like even the kind of like old pulp paper advertising, like pamphlets that came with these pinball machines. Like someone designed those and the gimmicks that go into like including that art and graphics on there. I mean, there's just so many people that go into the production and release of a pinball machine that, it's nice to give them a voice.
Last year, Dan Frank came to Expo. He's one of our early attendees, but he brought all the different things he'd collected over the years, keychains, baseball hats,
nice,
pens, anything that was a giveaway from the manufacturers. So that was fun as well.
Permanent hire at Spooky now. I believe that Franchi is their art director now.
Yep.
Would you have a guest or a speaker? I'm not counting the Pat Lawlers or any of the other people that you had mentioned. Was there just somebody that really surprised you as a presenter that just really put together a really unique or a really amazing experience?
Yeah, I think the one guy that always does a great job and he speaks from his heart, and that's Roger Sharp.
Of course, the man who saved pinball. Are you kidding me?
So when we showed his film for 2 years in a row. And then he came, and then last year, both Roger and his wife, Ellen, came. So, it was special to have him there, and just to think how important he was for the hobby and for the industry. And, the New York, when he fought the New York State, in New York City about getting pinball legalized. He said, I'm going to show you the skill and put this ball right where it should be. And, if you saw the movie, it was a great movie. By the way, we're showing 2 movies this year. We got 2 different guys showing pinball movies, so that will also be part of Expo.
Nice.
These are new.
God, there's so many things to do. It's almost overwhelming, Rob. I got to be honest. I'm having a little like pinball anxiety.
I mean, you guys need to get in your car now and get down there early. And what I'm suggesting is either bring a sleeping bag or whatever and sleep under the pinball if you get tired, and then come back out and keep playing.
Well, didn't you say everybody could stay at your place? You are offering extra bedrooms.
Now that you mention that, we used to do a thing called the Fireside Chat. And what I would do is I would have a suite at the expo, and I would have people come up to my room, and I'd have one of the, either Steve Ritchie or Larry DeMar or Pat Lawler speak in my room, and people would sit on the floor like a campfire.
That's amazing.
And tell stories, and people would just sit there and listen in awe.
See,
great.
That's such a unique way of sharing a pinball. Because, don't get me wrong, not to bag on the presentation format of sitting in a bunch of chairs in a theater format, but good for you for shaking it up by creating something that's a little more, I don't know, intimate, not in a sexy way, really, but just fun.
Finally, my wife said, "Hey, enough is enough. There's too many people." The one year we had. I couldn't even get into my own room. It was packed with people. But, it made it intimate, and that's what made it fun.
Yeah. And you're making unique experiences out of it instead of just your traditional kind of Comic-Con kind of experience. What's one thing from Expo that's stuck around from the beginning?
The seminars.
Seminars?
And the factory tours.
Right.
When we toured Gauntlet was extremely secretive. You couldn't talk to the employees. You couldn't get in through the doorway. And somehow we cracked that thing down. And Expo attendants were some of the first people from the outside to see a factory and see everything in operation. It was a great thrill because people couldn't even believe we were there.
Right. You're breaking into something that's like generally like not top secret, but it's just, pinball companies love to be secretive about stuff.
Yep.
Even now.
All great, man. All great times and great memories. And
where do you see Expo going in the next decade? I mean, you've talked about how you've, expanded homebrew stuff, added movies recently, and just in general, like where do you see to innovate and keep Pinball Expo as the unique experience so that it doesn't get kind of drowned out into the other kind of, Texas Pinball, all the other kind of expos that are trying to do the same thing?
Well, I don't think about the other guys. We can do our own deal, but I think just keep focused what we're doing now and do what the community wants to see and treat people with respect and give them a show that when they leave, they're sitting there saying, "Man, this show was unbelievable." And I mean, just talking to you, you can feel the passion and emotion from me, but also you can appreciate the fact that there's so much to do. How are you going to squeeze it all in?
Yeah.
And this is what I can remember. How about the stuff going on I can't remember? So it's just crazy. I mean, we had one guy come from Colorado. He has a deal thing called Fun with Pinball. So he has pinball components that he has on a table, and you can see how a pop bumper works and how relays work. You can walk up there and touch the display. So it's really cool.
That is neat.
I found him at the Rocky Mountain Pinball Show. That's one thing I stole from him. I stole that guy.
You're like a little spy going to the other pinball shows to like poach some good people. I think Kyle at Stern was telling me that the one thing that he recommended is go in with a plan with Pinball Expo. Like have things that you want to check off your list and make sure that you go do them, because you're just going to get so kind of sidetracked and overwhelmed.
That's exactly right. You're going to start talking to people. I mean, there's going to be people that want to talk to you, Jack.
I don't think so.
They'll sit down and buy your lunch or whatever. And the next thing you know, you look at your clock and you know what? There was a seminar supposed to be. I got to get out of here. There's not enough hours a day.
I do want to catch that Pat Lawler one. Twilight Zone. I'm currently streaming Twilight Zone, and Twilight Zone is one of my favorite games of all times. I've put so much love and time into it. I'm staring over here because it's literally standing right next to me. Do pinball machines sit, Rob? Do you think they take a break? Do they sit? I guess if you put a pinball machine on its head box, is that considered sitting instead of standing for a pinball machine?
Hey, good question. That's a next discussion for your next podcast.
Fair. Is there something that you've wanted to do at Pinball Expo that just was too logistically complicated or too expensive that it hasn't been done yet?
Yes, and that's the Pinball Olympics. So you know about this more than I do, perhaps, but this one gentleman does the Pinball Olympics at his home, and it just sounds fun to do. Where he's got all these crazy things, looking through binoculars, playing pinball, where you're looking through the binoculars, and just all kind of
hanging upside down. I've heard some crazy stuff. I guess the Total Nuclear Annihilation, Scott Denisi's games, the Experience Room is coming back. So, and I guess they've upped the flashers. He had a thing on Instagram. Shout out to Denisi, by the way. I think Total Nuclear Annihilation is such an amazing game. It's one of those games that you love to hate because it's so mean. But the fact that they're doing a little experience room out of it, which has smoke and fucking flashing lights, all sorts of crazy shit. Like it sounds pretty amazing.
Yep.
Do you ever think you'll take Expo International?
It's interesting you say that, because I just thought about that last year. Bring the concept to Europe. It's a thought. It takes a lot of manpower and time and effort and energy. You mentioned about the seminars. I probably work on the seminars once during Expo, and for the next 9 months, I put notes in my phone of possible seminars. But once I start working on it, it probably takes me 2 solid weeks to put the seminars down and move it up and down, make this a little bit longer, make this one shorter, fit this one in here, fit this one there. It takes a lot of time.
Yeah, like how do you risk diluting the experience trying to like conform it to fit like an international situation, right? Like how would you make the choices to keep it, the Pinball Expo that people expect, but still, have it still be an international like situation?
Well, it was fun for me. We've had guys in Italy speak at Expo, and this one guy, Ivan from Italy, he makes the most outrageous pinball machines you've ever seen. As far as he chromes everything from head to tail, top to bottom, and
chrome cabinet.
Not quite that, but I mean, his games are so beautiful. It's like you stop in your tracks. But he'll have a booth at the show, so he'll have games for sale. And he had a radical there a couple of years ago, and I saw it. I said, Ivan, that game's not going any further. It's going into my booth. And I bought it. But everyone that saw it just said, wow, this game is beautiful.
And Radical's already a pretty beautiful game. I mean, it's got so many different colors, and it's got all these crazy ramps and stuff going on with it. So did he chrome the plastic ramps? Like, what did he do to Radical to make it so?
Well, I'll leave you with this. You got to come to Expo to find out what he's doing this year.
All right, fair enough. Paradolia just says that he saw that Radical and that the blue chromatic is amazing. Well, now I want to know what blue chromatic is.
But I hope your listening audience comes again this year, and like I said, anyone that's never been there, like yourself, make the effort to come, and I promise you guys, you'll love it.
I genuinely couldn't be more excited. I love pinball, and I have loved pinball for a really long time, but Expos always seem kind of like inaccessible because you got to like really travel to go there, and it's hard to coordinate with family and kids and stuff like that. So I'm proud that I'm making the jump this year. So if you are a person who's been on the fence about going to Pinball Expo, hopefully hearing this has helped convince you to get your ass over there. Which leads into my last question here, or second to last question. For someone who's never attended Pinball Expo, right? What's a reason that they should come back? If you've seen Pinball Expo once, what is it that's going to bring you back a second time? Well,
if you're in the seminars, it's a whole different seminar arrangement I put together every year. Year to year, they're always different. Number one, but number two, different factory tour. Number three, to continue where you left off as far as meeting friends and being with people and connecting to them. And every year, it's like a class reunion. You hook up with the same guy again. Hey, where's this guy? Where's that guy? Someone said Jeff's here. Yeah, he just came in. He's over there. Oh, Jeff, it's me, man. And there's the energy of seeing old friends and making new friends that makes you want to come back here every year. And I had one of the guys reach out to me from Australia, Stephen Smith, and I knew that Hankin made a game called Star Wars, and I had seen it at one of the previous expos years ago. Well, he reached out to me, and because he read about pastimes, he said, "Hey, would you be interested in this Star Wars game?" I said, "Yeah, I really been wanting for my arcade." And they said, Hankin made 5 titles. I said, 5? I've never heard of that. Well, you know me, one thing or the other. I ended up buying all 5, and I brought all 5 to Expo last year. And I'm not sure if I'll bring them again this year, but for people that came, that was a real fun experience to see all these games that they had never seen.
Yeah, that's a treat.
These games were made in Australia. Did you know they made games in Australia?
I didn't.
Yeah, crazy. So, there's so much to see, guys. Where do you start? Where do you stop? I don't know. But the only downside of Expo is the day where I'm no longer around. It's hard to say if it's going to show the same passion in the air and excitement that I do my very best to bring to the show.
There you go. That's amazing. And to your point it's about the people. Yeah, pinball isn't just about pinball machines and rumors and things like that. It's about having friends and connecting with people in the pinball community. And it sounds like that's like kind of the best reason to come back.
Even like Emoto, if you ever heard of her or met her, she's a little live wire, but some people it's just cool to meet her. And say, man, that girl, she's pretty hip, man. She's fun. But you can meet her, and you can meet all the designers, and you can meet the artists. And Brett Ferrer should do them. Greg Kmick. Greg Kmick is the guy that designed Wizard and Captain Fantastic. If you guys have ever played some of the older games.
Oh, for sure.
Greg Kmick, he'll be coming to the autograph section.
Cool.
So to me, that's a great part of our show is seeing and meeting him, because He's not involved in the industry anymore, but he makes it a point to come to Expo. And he also is a great guy. He'll talk your ear off.
Cool.
So,
pinball people
guys,
do love talking about pinball. It's very true. All right. So I have one final question for you, Rob, and I want to thank you again for taking the time. I know that we've been trying to coordinate this kind of off and on over the last couple of weeks. So the Pinball Expo doors open, right? And you walk through and there's a Rob Berk curated pinball machine there to encompass the experience of Pinball Expo, right? I'm going to give you 3 games and I want you to pick one of these games to make this the Pinball Expo experience. Like the first thing you experience when you come in. Are you ready? You're going to pick one of these games. Here we go. Your first option is Raven. Your second option, Raven. And the third pin you could pick from, it's Raven.
Okay, so what's the question?
Well, which of those 3 games would you pick to have be the like front and center pinball experience when you open the doors?
It would be the Raven playfield that was used in the homebrew area with a different title.
That's specific. I'm going to guess that was Rambo, since that's probably the most that's the most logical Raven thing. He tried to circumvent the question, chat. I do this every time I do an interview. We always bring Raven up in it in some way. Yeah, reskinning Raven as a homebrew is definitely skirting the line of cheating that question.
Now,
all right.
One more thing. I got one more thing for you, Jeff.
Hit me.
When I was growing up, when I was playing pinball, Hercules came out. So at the time, that was just amazing. A big monster of a pinball machine.
Sure. There's a bigger one now, right?
What's that?
There's a bigger one. Didn't somebody make a bigger than Hercules pinball machine?
Yeah, me. So over the years, I kept thinking about this Hercules, and finally I kept asking Jersey Jack, asking Stern, can't you guys create another Hercules knockoff? No, too hard. Low production number, blah, blah, blah. So I got some of the homebrew guys, and with the help of Ernie Silverberg, we were able to produce a game called Mothership. Mothership will be at Expo, playable. It was brought last year. It wasn't quite completely working, but it'll be playable. And it's a multi-ball monster game. So as big as Hercules, imagine a multi-ball Hercules. So this game is called, brand new artwork on it, called the Mothership. And Brian Allen did a great job with the artwork. And Ernie Silverberg did a great job putting it all together. And it'll be there for you guys to play. So that's yet another thing to come.
That's for sure going on my list of to-dos for sure. Because I have not played Giant Pinball yet. I'm aware of Giant Pinball. I've just not played Giant Pinball. And it sounds like this is the Giant Pinball to play.
Yep, it's called Mothership. So guys, get ready. I mean, we've been on the phone for an hour and a half. And we just scrape on the surface on what's going to be an expo. So make sure you guys are there and make sure you see Jeff, last of the good guys. And maybe he'll be giving autographs too.
Maybe. Why not? Maybe. If someone asks me for an autograph, I'll give it to him. I'll praise the Great Pyramid, Tommy says that it wasn't playable last year, and he's super stoked that that Mothership is making a return. So you've made.
It is definitely going to be up and with improvements. It'll have sound this time. And just tell Tommy to go crazy.
There you go, Tommy. He's coming from Holland. All right, Rob. So the last thing I always ask is there's anything you want to plug? Well, I think the thing you're going to talk about is Pinball Expo. For the people that don't know, go ahead. The floor is yours.
Well, we've already plugged it. We plugged it for an hour and a half. So Pinball Expo and Pastimes Arcade, guys, should be on your hit list. You can look up both of them on the website. But, anytime I do something, I try to go to the max. I don't go part way, 3/4 of the way, it's all the way. And you'll see that at Pastimes when we got over 600 games on the floor. And you'll see it at Pinball Expo, which will be a ton of games as well. So hope you guys come. Hope you guys enjoy it like I'm saying you will. And I'm sure that you'll leave there saying, this was worth the time.
Yeah. Well said. And I will be there. If you are watching this and you would like to bump into me or bump into Rob, find us. It's going to be a great time. Yeah. So yeah, without further ado, the last thing we do on here is we find a new channel to raid. We try to find someone who's just streaming pinball that doesn't have any viewership and drop a bunch of people on them. Again, Rob, I want to say thank you again for joining me and giving me some info on all the cool things that are going on at Pinball Expo that I had no idea about. Stick around afterwards so I can say thank you and all that good jazz. And if you are currently watching, stick around right now as we go to raid somebody. The last thing we do, Rob, you got to put your fingers up like this and say, "All praise the Great Pyramid," because that's the great god of pinball that we praise.
I call it pyramid power.
There we go, pyramid power. All praise. Yeah. So thanks again if you're listening on podcasts.
You know Lonnie Meehan?
I do not know.
Okay, he's involved with a lot of the homebrew stuff, but I taught him pyramid power years ago. So this is old news for me.
That's great. We're bringing it back. Pyramids. Bring it back to pyramid. Pyramid power specifically. Not just pyramid, but pyramid power.
You
got to bring the power. All right. Anyways, thanks again, everybody. Goodbye. Now I got to hit the button. There it is.